Hi guys, what's up? Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma for those of you who are new, and I would love it if you guys subscribed and stuck around. Today's video, as you can tell by the title, we're just going to be sitting down and chatting about all the books that I read in September and October. So my September and October monthly reading wrap-ups. I'm filming this a little bit late, as you can probably tell by not only the time that I'm posting it, but also my holiday decor is up. This is just like a brief little sneak peek of that, but I'm filming this the second week of November and I'm in like the Christmas spirit. I still don't think it's too late to post this video just because I wanted to share with you all the books that I read in September and October. September was my best reading month yet, I feel like, or at least since I've had my YouTube channel, and I found so many amazing books, new favorite reads, and some 5-star books. So I'm so excited to share those with you guys. I also read a few books in October, and it's already the second week of November and we're already off to a good start. I've already, I think, rated a couple books 5 stars, so you guys will see that at the end of the month and in early December when I film my November reading wrap up. But still wanted to sit down and share with you guys all the books that I've read lately in September and October. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into the video. Before we get into all the books that I read in September and October, I just wanted to sit down really quick and say a huge thank you to Ana Luisa for working with me in today's video. You guys already know the drill if you've been around on my channel for a while. If you're an OG subscriber, I have worked with Ana Luisa so many times and will continue to do so for as long as they want to collaborate with me. If you are unfamiliar with Ana Luisa as a brand, they are a jewelry company based out of New York City that focuses on sustainably sourced, ethically sourced, and affordable jewelry pieces. And I absolutely love how they keep up with the trends, but all of their pieces are super minimal and there's just something for everybody, regardless of style, regardless of price point. Especially going into the holiday season, I feel like sustainability is so important because overconsumption is absolutely crazy during this time of year. So you can know that when you are shopping for gifts for yourself or for family members or friends, that nothing's going to go to waste, and you can feel good about the items that you're purchasing and the company that you are purchasing from. So if you've been around for a while, you know all of my jewelry pieces are Ana Luisa. I talk about them all the time and I wear their jewelry every single day, and in all of my videos you will see me wearing my Ana Luisa pieces. I recently got a couple new pieces from them that I wanted to share with you, so I'll insert a close-up. But I have the rocks. I think these are the medium huggy hoops. I have the small version of this one, like the mini huggy rocks hoops, and I wear them all the time and I've had those for over 2 years now. So I decided to get the bigger version just to sort of elevate my look for the holiday season. I feel like these are perfect for holiday parties or anything like that, and I also feel like they just sort of dress up an everyday look. Like I'm literally just wearing a simple sweater right now, but I look more dressed up because I'm wearing these huggy hoops. And then in my second haul, I absolutely love these. These have quickly become my favorite piece, and I love that I can wear them every single day, but also I love that these could also be dressed up for like a holiday party or something like that, and I feel like these are the perfect gift. And these ones are so outside of my comfort zone, but I've been wearing them like every day, and that's something that I love about Ana Luisa is their pieces are minimalistic and timeless. You can still sort of play with your everyday jewelry stack and change up your look depending on what you're going for. And then probably my favorite piece that I got, other than the earrings dangling in my second haul, is this bracelet I will insert a close-up of. I don't own many bracelets at all, but this one is just so dainty, and I feel like just the gold chain with the little pearls is perfect for the holidays and it's just perfect for this time of year. And I feel like this would make such a good gift for a mom, a sister, a friend, or even I feel like if you know someone who's getting married anytime soon, I feel like this is like such a beautiful like bridal gift sort of situation. I could talk about Ana Luisa and their jewelry pieces all day long. I wish I could sit down and show you every single piece that I own from them, but we would be here for far too long, and that's not the point of today's video. But I feel like these are the perfect gift, whether you're looking to treat yourself for the holidays, for graduating, passing your classes this semester, traveling, or something like that, or you're just looking for a gift for somebody else. I feel like their pieces are so minimal and dainty and simplistic, but can be dressed up or dressed down, that I feel like there's something for everybody's style. So definitely check out Ana Luisa. They are currently running their November sale, so you can shop their pieces for up to 30% off site-wide while you still can. So I'll have that link down below in the description box. If you're seeing this after the sale, that's okay. I do have a discount code for Ana Luisa as well that gets you 20% off site-wide. So I'll have that link down below if you guys are seeing this after their November sale has ended. But be sure to check out their November sale and check out Ana Luisa's pieces. You will find something that's perfect for you or anybody in your life. So check out the link in my description box and shop their November sale for up to 30% off site-wide while you still can. But thank you so much, Ana Luisa, for working with me in yet another video. I love you guys. But let's go ahead and get into the rest of the video and see what books I read in September and October. So I've been using Notion to sort of track all the books that I read. Let me know if you guys want like a Notion tour or something. I'm still working on it. It's still a work in progress. It's not perfect or completely up to my standards just yet. I'm still trying to figure out how to use Notion to the best of my ability for like content creation purposes, but also like personal like finance tracking and all that sort of thing. But that's not what this video is about either. So let's go ahead and get into all the books that I read in September. Let me count how many books I read in September because it's the best reading month I've had since I started my YouTube channel. So I read 9 books in September, which is absolutely crazy because I feel like I've been like averaging like 2 to 4 books for the last like year. So the fact that I read 9 books in September, which is a short month, I forgot to mention. So let's just go ahead and get into it. I'm just going to tell you guys what books I read, the author, and my ratings on them, and just a quick little spiel of whether I liked it or not. So strap in and be sure to follow me over on all of my socials. I'll have them linked down below. Be friends with me over on Goodreads, and let's just go ahead and get into all the books that I read in September. So the first book that we have, I actually started in August. I featured it in my last reading vlog, but I didn't finish it until September. So I'll have that reading vlog linked in the cards. We are starting off the month strong with a 5-star read. So I have Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings. This is the second book in the Magnolia Parks universe series, but the first book in the Daisy Hates sort of section of the series. And this follows Daisy Hates. She is the younger sister of like a drug lord slash crime lord in London, and it follows her relationship with Christian, who, as you know if you've read Magnolia Parks, is BJ's best friend who also has a thing for Magnolia. This is kind of about Daisy and her relationship with Christian, as well as her relationship with Julian, her older brother, and it sort of just follows Daisy and Christian sort of back and forth type of thing. I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars. I think that this series is a very hard one to get into. Jessa Hastings' writing style is unlike anything or any author that I've ever read before, but I think her writing is some of the most beautiful I have ever read. I know that some people might not like it because there's not really any plot line to it, like at all. No plot line whatsoever, but it's just so lyrical and raw, and I kind of like how it doesn't have a plot line because, like I said, it's just so real and genuine. I feel like obviously it's kind of like a Gossip Girl, like a British Gossip Girl situation. Obviously I can't relate to being rich or to being a crime lord's sister or having friends and boyfriends that cheat on me all the time, but I can relate to the genuine emotions that are innately like human in this book. I felt like a physical pain in my chest reading some things in Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates. So I'm very excited to pick up the third in the series, which is the second Magnolia Parks book. I think it's called Magnolia Parks The Long Way Home. I ordered it in the OG covers and it's on my November TBR, so I think I'm going to start it after the book that I'm currently reading. But first book, we're kicking off this wrap up with a bang, and I'm so excited to continue the series and just to read more from Jessa Hastings in the future. I've already pre-ordered her next book that's coming out, Never, which is kind of like a Peter Pan retelling. So absolutely love the Magnolia Parks series and highly recommend if you're looking for like a Gossip Girl, drama filled, painstakingly beautiful book. So Okay, the next book that I read is actually the final in the Dreamland Billionaire series. This is Final Offer by Lauren Asher. This is book 3 and the last book in the Dreamland Billionaire series. The Dreamland Billionaire series basically follows 3 brothers who have to complete certain tasks to come into their inheritance after their grandfather passes away. Their grandfather is like the owner of the Dreamland like amusement park, which is kind of like the life equivalent of Disneyland and Disney World and stuff. So the third book follows Callahan. He is an alcoholic, and I believe he is the youngest brother, and like I said, he struggles with alcoholism, and he's just never been able to keep a job or keep a relationship his whole life because his main vice is alcohol. And this follows Callahan and Alana, and basically Callahan goes back to Lake Wisteria, which is where his grandfather's lake house is, and he basically falls back in love with Alana, who is somebody that he used to date when he was younger. That's kind of just the gist of the story. There's a lot more to it, obviously. So yeah, I really enjoyed this series and this book. This is the first series that I've read by Lauren Asher, and I really just enjoy her writing style. There's nothing groundbreaking about it, but these books are like almost 600 pages long, and I flew through them, like read them in just a few sittings, so they didn't seem as long as they actually are while reading. And I gave this one a 4 stars, which I'm excited about. And Lauren Asher actually just released the first book in her newest series, which is the Lakefront Billionaires, and it's set in the same town as this one was, so Lake Wisteria. So I'm super excited to pick that one up and yeah, just read more by Lauren Asher. I have a couple books by her on my Kindle Unlimited TBR, which you guys will see in another video. Okay, the next book that I read, if you watched my reading vlog that I posted like a month or so ago, I talked about this book and loved it and raved about it. So that is Flawless by Elsie Silver. It pains me that I don't have the original cover, but I think I'm gonna order the original covers in the next 4. But I have Flawless by Elsie Silver. If you watched that reading vlog, you know that I gave this a 5 stars. This is the first book. I think it's 1 of 5 in the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver, and I'm obsessed. This was my first like cowboy romance that I read, and I haven't read many small town romances either. Love this one. This follows Rhett Eaton, who is a professional bull rider who has kind of like a bad boy reputation, and then his publicist's daughter is sent to sort of like babysit him and get him on the right track in their small town of Chestnut Springs, and they fall in love. That's pretty much it. It's just like a cowboy romance, small town sort of situation, forced proximity, which I love. And I absolutely loved this book. I don't know why I rated it a 5 stars. I think it's because I literally read it in one sitting. I think that's why I gave it a 5 stars, just because it just made me giddy and happy, and I read it so quickly. Nothing groundbreaking by any means, but I ate it up. So definitely excited to get the rest of the series and read those and learn more about the Eaton brothers, because the rest of the books follow the Eaton brothers and then I think one of their friends as well. So okay, the next book that I read was a long time coming. So many of you guys are probably so surprised that I ended up reading this book, and I didn't film a reading vlog on this one either because I think I started this when I was like super busy at work. But I finally read The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This was one of the books on my physical TBR that has been on my bookshelves for the longest, has been on my physical TBR for probably the longest out of all the books that I currently own. So I finally decided to pick this up and read it in the month of September when I had my TBR jar pick my September TBR. And while I did enjoy this book, I didn't love it, and I don't know, I just didn't like the writing style. I don't know if it has to do with the fact that the book was written in 3rd person. This was the first book in a really long time that I had read that wasn't from like a 1st person point of view, and I don't typically love that, but I just don't think I connected with this book that much, and I just don't think I loved Olive and like Adam's like trope or their storyline or anything. This is basically about Olive Smith, whose best friend doesn't believe that she has a boyfriend and is not dating someone because she thinks that Olive has feelings for him. I don't really know what the whole premise of. I read this so long ago and clearly didn't stick in my brain. So basically Olive kisses the first random person that she sees so that her best friend believes that she is in love and dating, and that person just so happens to be the brooding like professor, which is Adam, and everybody hates this guy, but they start fake dating to keep up this sort of persona that Olive is in a happy relationship so that her friend can be happy, and it's just like a whole thing. Yeah, I gave it a 3 stars. I did not love this book, but I still have a couple books from Allie Hazelwood on my TBR that I want to read, and she just released a new book that looks really good as well. So not going to judge the author just by this one book. I feel like this was the one that got the most like BookTok hype, but didn't love this one. I gave it a 3 stars, but a 3 stars doesn't mean that it's necessarily a bad book, or I don't even think a 3 stars is necessarily a bad rating, but I just didn't connect with this book that much. So the next book that I read was actually the first book that I read on my Kindle, which I don't have my Kindle with me. It's charging in the other room because I think I'm going to go to a coffee shop and read or edit here in a little bit after I finish filming this. But the first book that I read on my Kindle was Say You Swear by Megan Brandy, and I feel like this book was so hyped up on TikTok and like BookTok, I feel like, a while ago, and then a bunch of my friends have read this book and they were like, you're going to love this book, and I did not love that book. I feel like there were good elements of the book. I feel like I just got like emotional whiplash while reading that book because I feel like everything that could have happened to the main character, I don't
even remember their names at this point. Like, I literally, was it like Ariana? Ari was the main girl's name, and there was Noah and Chase, right? I feel like that was the main characters. I don't really know at this point.
But I got little whiplash from that book. I gave it a 3 stars, and I want to give the author another shot because I did like her writing at times. I just did not love that book. It's kind of like a sports/college romance, sort of like a love triangle, but then something like happens to the main character where she loses a lot of the memories that she has of one of the boys. I don't know, I don't think that's a spoiler, but again, emotional whiplash from that book. Okay, next book I read in September. We are straying away from romance for a second. I read The Mary Shelley Club by Goldie Moldavsky. And if you remember, you watched my September TBR, I picked this with a prompt of a book that, I feel like a book that you've never heard anyone talk about before or something. Camera light is flashing, no. This ended up being one of my favorite books that I read in the month of September. I gave this a 5 stars, and this was just amazing. This gave me all the Scream slasher vibes, but also like the New York City prep school setting, and it was just amazing and very like Final Girl-esque. I think this book actually was republished with a different name. I think it's called The Last Girl now. So if you can't find The Mary Shelley Club, look up The Last Girl. It's literally the same book. It basically follows Rachel, who is a new girl at a prep school in New York City, and she is very much like an outcast, and something happened to her a year before in her old hometown that sort of caused her to be traumatized by a lot of things, and she is inducted into this sort of secret club with a bunch of like popular people and other outcasts at the school, called the Mary Shelley Club, and their focus is on horror. So they complete like different tasks to sort of scare their teammates, not teammates, schoolmates and classmates, to get back at them for bullying or that sort of thing, and a couple of them go awry, and there's just like kind of like a mystery that's underlying beneath here. Literally such a good book, like a crazy concept for a book. I want this to be made into a TV series or movie ASAP. But anything Final Girl-esque I absolutely love, and this sort of like put me onto a thriller train. Like, I just want to read so many more like thrillers and sort of horror books like this that are YA. So if you have any recommendations for that genre, please let me know, because this is probably like one of my favorite books I've read so far this year, and that's crazy because I was not expecting it at all. So if you haven't read this book, definitely pick it up and let me know your thoughts. But a 5 out of 5 star read, and I just really wish I could reread this again, like for the first time. Okay guys, my camera died, so I apologize if the angle changed, but only a few more books to talk about that I read in the month of September, and then we'll move on to October. But the next book that I read is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, and this is the first book that I have read by Abby Jimenez, which you may be wondering, if you're familiar with Abby Jimenez, why did you read this one first? It's because it's the only book that I had by her. This is the second in the Part of Your World series, but I still feel like these can be read as a standalone. Obviously, you get snippets of the couple that's in the first book, Part of Your World, but nothing is really spoiled other than the fact that they got together, which if you read a romance book, you already knew that, but no part of their like relationship was spoiled or anything, or their storyline. But this basically follows Brianna and Jacob, who are both doctors at the same hospital, and they sort of have like a run-in situation. It has like social anxiety and that sort of thing. I'm not really going in. I honestly don't remember a whole lot of this book. This book was so beautiful, and to sort of combat like the social anxiety and stuff, like Jacob started writing letters, and so they write letters back and forth, which was like a cute aspect. But this is just like the cutest little heartwarming, heartfelt like rom-com sort of moment, and just the banter between the two. For my first impression of Abby Jimenez's writing, I'm obsessed, and I cannot wait to pick up more books by her. I'm definitely gonna pick up the first one, The Part of Your World, and then I know she has a bunch of other books. So gave this one a 5 stars just because I loved the banter, and this one just made me happy and it made me smile, and I just really enjoyed it. So excited to have like a new auto-buy author, I feel like, but I definitely need to pick up more books by her. So, okay, second to last book that I read in September was actually another one of my favorite books that I have read this year. This is the first book in the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and that is The Naturals. This basically follows Cassie and a few other teenagers who are basically recruited by the FBI for their like natural abilities, and they're put into like a safe house in Virginia to sort of solve infamous cold cases, and one of them is about Cassie's mother who was murdered, and then you sort of learn about some of the other naturals as well. It's basically like a Criminal Minds, but they're teenagers, and just the idea is so fascinating. I did not go into this book thinking that I was gonna love it as much as I did, because I've read the first book in the Inheritance Game series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and I didn't really love it, and I kind of want to try to get into that series, but after reading this one, I just don't feel like it will compare, so I might just not read that series because I feel like this one is so good. I rated this a 5 stars. I don't think I've read a book so fast in so long. Like, this book captivated me from the very first page, and I was on the edge of my seat. I love Criminal Minds, and I love true crime, and I love thrillers and stuff like that, so this was just right up my alley. I definitely cannot wait to talk to you guys more about this series after I finish all of the books. 5 out of 5 stars, absolutely loved it. Another one of my favorite books probably this year that really surprised me. Okay, just a few more books, you guys. So this is the last book that I read in September. This is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams, and this is the second book in the When in Rome series, but you don't have to read them in like order or anything. But this basically follows Annie, who is the little sister of the boy in the first one, and then Will, who is the bodyguard of the pop star in the first When in Rome book. But anyways, Annie is very shy and overlooked by men in her small town and her siblings, so basically she gets dating like lessons and stuff from Will, who is like a very confident, cocky, sort of just like ladies man, and then they obviously start to develop feelings for one another and all of that. This was the first like closed door sort of romance book that I've read, like adult romance book that I've read. I gave this a 3 stars though. It just wasn't my favorite like writing style. I didn't really love that much. I didn't really love Annie and Will together that much. I really loved Will on like his own, but I don't know if I loved this book enough to pick up any more by this author. I thought it was very like cutesy and all of that sort of thing, but I just didn't really enjoy the plot line or the storyline that much. But I can still see why so many people enjoy this book and this author in the series. I just don't think it's personally for me, but I still recommend this if you're looking for just like a sweet little closed door romance novel. So that is all the books that I read in October, or no, not October, September. 9 books, which again, you guys are probably literally like jaws on the floor if you've been around for some of my wrap-ups before, because I feel like I did like a 3-month wrap-up like of like all the books I read in like April, May, and June, and it was like less than this. So the fact that I read that, or read all of these books in September, I'm like so proud of myself for. I'm still only halfway through my TBR goal for the year. I feel like 100 books for my yearly reading goal was probably too many. I'm just proud that I beat myself from last year and at least got halfway through my reading goal. So we'll see by the end of the year how many books I've read, but let's move on to all the books that I read in October. It's only 3 books, so we won't be here for too much longer. Okay, so the first book that I read in October was one of my most anticipated releases for the year, and that was Wildfire by Hannah Grace. If you are unfamiliar with Hannah Grace, all of you probably know who she is, but she is the author of Icebreaker, which is a book that took the internet and BookTok and BookTube by storm when it was released last year or early this year, and that was the first book in the Maple Hill series, and this is the second in that series, and this follows Russ and Aurora, two students at Maple Hills, and Russ is the roommate of like all the OG guys, like hockey guys in the first book, and you briefly meet Russ in Icebreaker, and then Aurora is just a new character. She was at this party at the hockey house, and then her and Russ have a one-night stand, and then they leave without saying goodbye, but then they end up at the same summer camp over the summer. So it's forced proximity, all of that, kind of like second chance, if you will, because they didn't really get the chance to know each other or anything before that. As I said, this book was one of my most anticipated releases of the year, but I was honestly kind of disappointed. I just didn't get the same feeling from this one that I got from Icebreaker. Icebreaker was not a 5-star read for me, but I still think I gave it a 4 stars because I just enjoyed the book. But this one I gave a 3 stars. It wasn't a bad book, I just didn't love it as much. I just don't think I loved Russ and Aurora as much as I loved Stassi and Nate in the first one. I just feel like Nate was the blueprint, and I feel like people would really like Russ because he's sort of like golden retriever energy and that sort of thing, but I just didn't connect with this one as much as I connected with Icebreaker. And also, when you're thinking about like a sports or college romance, it's not in like a summer camp setting, so I think that's kind of what I missed, is I missed the college like Maple Hill setting with like the hockey and all that sort of thing. I just feel like Russ didn't really talk about hockey, Aurora didn't play a sport, didn't really have much that she was like working towards outside of work. It was just a lot about them trying to communicate, and then both of them had really shitty relationships with their like family members, so that was like something that they also had to work through. So very much like a cutesy book, not as steamy as the first one at all either, but I would recommend this if you liked Icebreaker. I feel like some people would probably really like this one. I heard a lot of people did. It just wasn't my favorite. So, okay, the next book that I read, I also rated a 3 stars. This is Wait For You by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the first in this little Wait For You series. It's kind of like a college romance, and this follows Avery, who came across the country to go to college, and she meets Cameron on her first day. They end up like just crossing paths so many times, like they're in the same class, they always see each other on campus, and then they end up literally being like next door neighbors. Like Avery's apartment is here and Cameron's is literally right next to hers, and they just have sort of like this invisible string that keeps pulling them together. But Avery has a trauma that she's dealing with from the past that sort of prevents her from committing to Cameron and really taking that next step in their relationship, or even in like her college friendships and experiences and stuff. So this sort of shows how Avery works through that and all that sort of thing, and there's like an underlying thing that gets resolved in the end. I really liked the writing style. I enjoyed Jennifer L. Armentrout's writing style. I know this author writes a lot of fantasy that people enjoy, but this was the first book that I'd read by her. There was just like a lot of things that I still had questions about, and some things that I just feel like it just drug on like a lot, you know? It was like only like 400 pages, but I feel like it was like 800 or something. So I gave this a 3 stars, but I do want to continue reading the series, maybe read the second and third one just to see if those ones are a little bit better. I really did just enjoy the writing style, and I just enjoy college romances in general. I just feel like their storyline wasn't my favorite, but I really did enjoy Cameron, and I did enjoy seeing Avery's character development. There are a lot of trigger warnings in this, so look that up and just sort of familiarize yourself with them just in case you're not comfortable reading about that. Then the last book that I read in October was by one of my favorite authors, and that is Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I read Maybe in Another Life by TJR, and this book was super sweet and I really did enjoy it. I gave it a 4 stars. Basically, this is about Hannah, who is, I think, 29. She's almost 30, and she's sort of like lost in life. She's lived in a bunch of different places and had a bunch of different jobs, but she's never felt at home anywhere, and she just kind of feels like her life is falling apart and it's not going anywhere. So she moves back to her home base of Los Angeles and moves in with her lifelong best friend Gabby. And the night that she moves back to Los Angeles, she goes out to the clubs with her friend Gabby, and then there she runs into Ethan, who is her high school sweetheart. So 10 years later, they're together at this club, and then the book follows it's basically a dual storyline. So it follows if she makes a decision to leave with Ethan that day, or if she makes a decision to go home with Gabby. Those two decisions have very different consequences and very different outcomes. So you sort of read through that, and then at the end, you kind of like snap back to reality and you see what she actually chose and how that unraveled. And so it was very interesting. I've never read a book like that before, but I loved it. I rated it a 4 stars. Didn't give me that 5-star feeling like a lot of TJR books do, but I like a lot of her newer books. This was one of her first releases, but like the Evelyn Hugo, Malibu Rising, like Seven Husbands world, and Daisy Jones, can't forget about that one, are just like legitimately unmatched. I feel like those worlds and those stories and how they're built and how she intertwines those books is just phenomenal, and I don't feel like many authors can do that. So I feel like this book just wasn't the 5-star that those are, but still 4-star. Taylor Jenkins Reid is incredible, and this was a good one to end October on. So I did not read much in October, but I feel like September sort of offset that a little bit. But that is all the books that I read in September and October. So many 5-star reads, so many new favorites, and I feel like I've discovered like a love for a new genre, branched out a little bit. So I just feel so happy when reading, and I feel like I really have discovered my love for books in the last year, and I feel like September really just was the spark that I needed to keep reading. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what your favorite books were from the month of September and October. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you Ana Luisa for working with me in today's video. Be sure to check out the link in my description box and shop their November sale for up to 30% off site-wide while you still can. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.